Welcome back, friends, to the homestead on a beautiful Saturday morning. Boy, fall is in the air. We're starting to start wood stove fires, and you can just feel it. You just feel that transition. You know, when you live in a place for a decade or so, you get to kind of know, you can just tell when things are changing and how they're coming. So we're going to be looking at something very interesting today. This is going to be the first time I've ever done an unboxing or look closely at a hand-forged German axe. Now, you guys know I love the Swedish axes, and I have a little bit of a jaundiced eye when it comes to the German axes, because the very first one that I received as a gift, actually Mrs. W bought it for me, our first anniversary, the handle broke inside of a month. So every time I've looked at a German axe since then, I've always had a bit of a jaundiced eye. But my friend Ken sent this to me. I haven't seen it yet. I don't even know what model's in here, but we're going to take a close look at it together. So before we do that, quick update. I can't believe it, but it's 9 more days. 9 more days is all we have until we close on the new homestead, and we'll start making that move. Now, we're not going to move in directly. Here's something that happened. So the new house is going to need some painting, right? It's a little bit dated, and Mrs. W and I talked about it, and she's a Midwestern woman, she's very practical, and is just not a fancy lady, right? And it's like, well, we don't need to paint it. It'll be just fine and all that. And I said, honey, I have drug you all over some pretty rough places, from the off-grid homestead, spending a winter in an old beat-up trailer, to 100-year-old houses that were cold and drafty, and all of the focus has really been on me and my shops and all of that. I want to make it nice for you. So my friend Chris, or actually my first cousin Chris, is coming up from Idaho. He's a painting contractor. And Jariah and myself and Jack, we're all going to jump on that and get everything painted before we move in. And that's going to take a couple weeks. So we'll be doing that and moving in the meantime. But I want to make it nice for Mrs. W. I said, nope. You pick out the colors, whatever you want. We're going to make it nice for you. And that's just that. So that's the way to a woman's heart, right? Second, update on my shoulder. Folks have been asking about that. It's been 8 days since I wiped out, and I thought that it was getting a little bit better, and I kind of keep pushing it and trying to use it, and it seems to be getting worse. So because of a lot of what you guys have told me, I've got a lot of medical professionals in the comments that said, dude, you need to get that sorted. You need to look it out. So I've got an MRI scheduled for Tuesday. We'll go in and we'll get that all taken care of, but something's wrong. I think it might be a torn rotator cuff, because I just can't use it. I literally cannot do anything with it. I'm probably, because I keep pushing it, I should just sling it up so it forces me not to use it. But I'm going to try to be good with that. So that's what we're at. So let's take a look at this axe. So this, as I said, was sent from Ken, and I did a little bit of research on the company. Really interesting. So the company, it's Helco Work. In 1844, they said they've been making axes a long time. I went on their website, and they look totally legit. These are machine for, there's a machine, like, that, what do you call those things? The trip hammer. But each one of them, similar to the Grand Force Brooks, is going to be forged by a blacksmith, right? Even though they use some modern machines. But man, the attention to detail. Once I got into their website, American hickory handles, and not just any not just any hickory, but old hickory. Hickory, you can cut small hickory, and yeah, it's American hickory, but it's not the same. The ideal is if you could cut a tree between 60 and about 120 feet or so. That old hickory. Oh, look at this. This is not at all what I was expecting. Oh, this is a big old splitter. My goodness, that's got German written all over. This is interesting. Well, this is not at all what I expected here. Here, let's bring you up here for a closer look. Oh, that's nice. Let's bring you up here for a closer look. Well, my torn up shoulder has other ideas. I'm going to prop it up right here on this bar stool, and we'll talk about this design. Now, this is very interesting. Now, I've got to say that the first one that I had that failed, it wasn't an axe, it was a hatchet, but it was of this very unique German design. Now, if you look at this closely, you're going to see that this is not at all what we're expecting. There's no eye. What they've done is they have basically, you'll see that there are 2 Allen screws right there. They've threaded these big bolts through the hickory head and into the axe head itself. Now, that's kind of interesting. When I first saw that, I thought, man, that is all of our all of our loose axe head problems are solved, because if this ever did get loose, of course it includes an Allen wrench, and you could simply tighten those up. I mean, how easy would that be to make an axe handle? There's no real fitting. I mean, it's pretty crude. You basically just have a square head. It's actually quite brilliant. What happened with the hatchet head that I had that was this exact same design, it split out. It split out, and then it was just useless, and I wish I would have kept it. I don't know why I didn't keep it and make an axe handle. It was just, I was so disgusted by it, I think I just got rid of it. This is a little bit different here. Now this is obviously intended for heavy work. This is a big splitting axe, and look at the way that they've that they've put that that metal around there. So we've got that metal, like that C-track right there. Now that's going to support that wood and most likely keep that from cracking and splitting out. It's a very interesting design. That's going to be a very durable axe too. So because if you overstrike a little bit, we've got all that steel on there, but man, is it heavy. Very heavy. Very interesting design. So I was looking, their sheaths are nice too. So if you look here, you can see that they've got some adjustment in there, which is nice. Some of those leather sheaths that come with axes, they don't put the holes in there. And as the leather gets wet and older, it stretches and then it doesn't line up anymore. This is really nice. So this is obviously vegetable tanned, really nice with a welt. They call it a welt. You have a good quality sheath when they put an extra piece right there at the edge of the blade. That way the blade won't come in contact with these rivets. Those look like they're all nickel plated. Those are nice. Some, they even put their logo in there. It's pressed into the leather. This is a very nice sheath. This is something that has been made by a craftsman. A lot of those things, and even the Grand Force Brook sheath, I think are a little bit lacking. This is a little bit nicer, way heavier, twice the thickness that you'd get from the Swedish ones. Something I've never used before that's very intriguing, I'll back up here, is look at the shape. Look at the shape of that handle. It's got a beautiful sweeping arc to it with a nice fawn's foot on there. And I don't even have to paint the black on the handle. It came that way with original U.S. hickory right there. Boy, gorgeous axe. Is it giving me the fizz? It is giving me the fizz, but it is heavy, heavy. So I don't know if these are forged or maybe they're forged and sandblasted, and they've obviously been buffed, but beautiful fit and finish. That is a gorgeous, gorgeous splitting axe. I probably have more problems. I have had more trouble keeping an axe head on a splitting maul or a splitting axe, keeping those tight, than anything else. And I think it's because they get used so hard. I've even painstakingly made handles that fit so tight I could barely even fit them in the eye, and it's so disappointing that they'll sit through a winter and then you'll come out next year and they're wiggling and they're wobbling. This will be interesting to see. If it holds up and it doesn't break, there's no real way for this thing to come loose. It's going to be there forever. And if you do have to make a new handle, how simple is that going to be? I mean, basically, you could basically cut the head of that thing on a table saw and hand form everything. It would save a tremendous amount of time. But it is a pretty, pretty splitting axe, and it is heavy. It's got German written all over it, right? Just everything overbuilt and nice quality. One concern I wonder about this is, you want these things to be able to penetrate, because if you're splitting wood, are you going to get a hang up right there? You can probably see there's probably a 1/16 of an inch right there overhang on this where it's going to go up. Is it going to hit that? But that's got so much wedge in it. By the time you get to that point anyway, unless you're King Kong, you're probably not going to have the strength to really make that much of a difference. It's probably going to be splitting and popping apart anyway. But that is that is really nice. Well, thank you, Ken. That was very kind of you. I wish I could go out and swing it. There's no way. I could barely hold up my arm, let alone be swinging that axe. So today is we're going to be hanging around the house. I got a couple other things I wanted to share with you. Kind of get back into the lessons from my father. I thought I might mix in a little lessons from my father and lessons from my grandfather that I learned, and I think back on things that I just naturally or instinctively do. I got to thinking about that. I'm like, well, I don't just naturally do those. I do those things because I was taught. I was taught by a man in my family to that. So I'll share some of those things with you. This morning, I was going to take Mrs. W up to pick huckleberries up on Mount Fuji. We were up there 2 weeks ago when we went fishing, and there were some local Indian folk up there picking, and I asked them, I said, are they ready yet, the huckleberries? And no, not, we got a few, but 2 weeks. So if the local natives tell you that they're going to be there in 2 weeks, they're going to be there in 2 weeks. So I wanted to take her up there, and she's been working so hard on this, on the getting the property split and the mortgages and all of that, and we've been boxing up and moving, and she said, you know what, can we just stay home today? I said, we can stay home today. So I'll make her breakfast, and we'll just not do much of anything today but putz around the house, and then we'll get after it again tomorrow. So thanks for watching. Sorry the content's been a little bit lame lately. It's just there's so much going on. You guys know I don't need to keep saying it, and then the injury is holding me back a little bit, but it doesn't matter. It's going to get better. We'll get in there and get it looked at, get it fixed, whatever it takes to get that repaired. And one nice thing about this is that it is, I really appreciate all the support. It brought out a lot of folks that have offered to help. A lot of folks, even surgeons, have contacted me and offered their advice, and that means a lot to me. It's nice to know that you're loved and people care. That means more than anything. So keep us in your prayers. May God bless you and your families, and we'll see you guys on the next video.